Yeah, welcome back to Captain Flight School. This is going to be episode number 2, and so we're going to kind of go over what would be the second day, flying the aircraft. So often what you'll do is you'll go out and you'll start practicing some maneuvers. You might do it on the first day, you might do it on the second day. So this is going to be second day stuff. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to practice 2 stalls, power on stall and a power off stall. So we'll go ahead and get the airplane set up, and I'll talk about those stalls as I do that. So stalls are they're all about really angle of attack to the relative wind. So it's your airfoil can only really maintain lift at a certain angle of attack to the wind. And so if you go beyond that, you end up in a situation where the wing can no longer produce enough lift to essentially keep the aircraft aloft. Now, you still have some lift. You don't lose all lift. And so there are mainly 2 types we're going to talk about. One is a power off stall, and one is power on stall. Now, power off stall is it simulates coming in for a landing. So you configure as though you're landing, and then you stall the aircraft. This one's with flaps, and the 2 recovery procedures are pretty similar. We'll go over those. And then the power on stall simulates that you over rotated on takeoff. So what is rotation? Rotation is when you try to pitch your nose up to get off the runway. That's rotating. You're actually physically rotating the aircraft to take off. And so we're going to go practice these 2 stalls, especially during your early flight training. You do a ton of stall work, and it's very important because stall recovery is how you know, keep people safe. There's so many situations where you could get in a stall. By knowing how to recover, you very much increase the likelihood that you're going to, not have issues. And so let's go ahead and we'll take off here. So flaps are set, lights are set, and we're ready for takeoff. Not going to bother with position calls right now. Just go ahead and take off. So again, I'm going to try to maintain center line. I don't want to give away center line. This is how you have runway incursion when you end up off the runway. You always want to try to stay centered. A little bit swazy there. And we're off. So that's rotation, what I just did there. When I pick my nose up, that's rotation. So if I over-rotated, if I pick my nose up too fast, we'd stall. Now, in-game, it's going to be a little bit strange. Over 100 knots, going to go flaps up. In-game, the behavior is a little bit strange. The engines are overpowered. Aerodynamics are not exact, but they're pretty close. So we're going to start with, we're going to do all our procedures here. I'm going to start with a power on stall. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to get up at least 1,500 feet AGL above ground level. And that's going to give us plenty of time that in case we accidentally spun or if we lost a bunch of altitude when we were doing our stall, that we have plenty of altitude to recover. The next thing we do is a clearing turn. So we're turning 90 degrees one direction. We can actually make 2 in the same direction. We don't have to turn back. So there's 90 degrees. And what we're doing is we're looking for traffic. We're looking for any aircraft in the area. And so this is so that we don't inadvertently hit someone. So this is collision avoidance practice. All right, so we've done our 2 clearing turns. If there was a public frequency, we'd talk on that, say we're doing maneuvers, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to simulate a power on stall. So power on stall, it's going to be tough in game because we have too much power, so we'll try it. You do max power, you pitch your nose up, and you try to stall. Now look at my speed. See my speed coming off? And there's a stall. So what we do is we push our nose down, and we recover from the stall. Look at the speed, come back up, and that's it. The game actually, that's actually a pretty realistic stall. My pitch was way too high. Normally you wouldn't have to pitch that high to get a stall, but certain aircraft, if you have a good headwind, you'll actually have to do that. So we'll do one more quick set of clearing turns. I'm not going to do too many clearing turns just because, I don't think there's any real traffic in the area, so we're not going to worry about it. But that would be a real life thing. All right, we'll do one more. So again, we're going to keep ourselves. We have max power. And I'm going to pitch up and watch my speed. And I'm going to hold it. And we're stalling. I'm going to drop my nose. And as you can see, we recover. So that's stall recovery. So let's do one from the outside, and I'll show you what it looks like. So in game, again, the pitch is going to be much more than it is in real life. But there, right there, I'd say is the stall. There's the stall right there. And if I let go, my hands aren't on the controls, the nose is going to come down on its own. And that's actually what will happen in real life is as the aircraft stalls, you're losing lift. So what happens, the lift is, you're using lift essentially to get that nose up, so the nose drops and it helps to recover. So your recovery procedure is pretty simple. I'll do one more so you can see it. Here we come. I'm going to hold it. We're way, the pitch is way higher than it really would be. But here we go. I'm going to hold my stall. We're stalling, so you want to pitch the nose down below the horizon. You want to gain speed, and then you want to increase your pitch back so that you don't lose any altitude. The goal is not to lose any altitude. Now, we did lose altitude. That's normal, over the procedure. But we actually gained some altitude there because, yeah, this one we gained some altitude. It's hard to read this gauge right there. Yeah, we gained a bunch of altitude. That's a game thing because the engines are way overpowered in game. So, actually, let me try simulating one more power on stall. And what I'll do instead is let's get our speed down a little bit. So in real life, of course, you're going to go full throttle, but in game, the engines are just way overpowered because you're actually using your engine to hold you aloft more than you are at your actual wings and whatnot, and control surfaces. So there, I pulled some power off. And I'm going to try a stall without so much power. So I'm going to pitch up to about here. Let's go 20, and let's hold it. There we go. That's better. So our nose drops. We're going to go full throttle, which is a power on stall we'd already be at, and that's it. So pretty quick recovery. So I like that procedure for us a little bit better. We'll go about half throttle here. Hold our pitch at about 20 degrees. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. We're going to maintain heading. And the nose is dropping on its own. I'm holding the S key all by myself. Now, all I need to do is drop the nose a little. You notice we gain airspeed, and we're back to where we should be. All right. So I have to do a little bit modified because of the game. Let's climb back up. We lost a bunch of altitude on that one. So that's more realistic in-game. Again, our engines are overpowered, so probably don't even need to decrease to half, probably about 45%. I think that's a better procedure. We'll do one more really quick. So let's go to about 45%. Pitch my nose at 20. Hold it around 20. And I'm just trying to get that speed off. So I've gone a little bit higher on my pitch to try to get the speed off. There we go. Now I'm stalled. Nose comes down. Throttle goes to full. Once our airspeed's recovered, I'm going to pitch my nose back up, and as you can see, we didn't lose much altitude at all. So that's a power on stall. Now the other kind of stall, let's do a quick clearing turn. Part of this is just going to be to stay close to the airport, so I don't have to head all the way back there, but we'll get into a pattern as well. So there's a clearing turn. Next one is going to be a power off stall. Now, as the name suggests, we're going to have power off. And so this is simulating, so power on stall was simulating over rotation. So you have full throttle, you're taking off the runway, and you pitch your nose up too high, and you stall right at the end of the runway. These are very dangerous because, you don't have much altitude. Power off stall is the same. You don't have much altitude. So that's why we really want to be careful of how much altitude we're losing because we're going to be close to the ground when we do them. So we practice them up high, but up high, it's not a big deal. Down low, it can be a real serious problem. As you saw with the last video, I did have some stalls on final as I was kind of working on this aircraft. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our flaps down. If we had gear, we'd put our gear, if we had retractable gear, we'd put our retractable gear down. We want to be in the configuration we would be for landing. All right, and now what we want to do is we want to gently start taking off the thrust. And we want to maintain just our altitude. So we're going to look at our altimeter. We're going to keep pitching up, and we're stalled. Full power. Power's coming in. Slowly. All right, there we go. We're unstalled. I'm going to start pitching gently above the horizon to stop the descent. And we don't want to suck our flaps right up. And the reason we don't want to do this is our flaps are helping us with lift, and we need lift. So we're going to wait till, in this case, I'll wait till 100 knots before I pull my flaps up. I'll just start bringing them up slowly now. As you see, there's 100, and we'll bring them all the way up at 100. All right, so we'll do one more clearing turn. And like I said, not only does this clear our airspace to make sure nobody's around us, it also helps me stay close to the airport. All right, flaps are going to come in again. As the flaps come in, it's giving us lift, so you'll notice if I don't pitch my nose down, you'll notice how the our altitude's increasing, so I want to counteract that with my altitude, with my pitch rather. All right, so we'll start to gently take out the thrust, and I'm just going to maintain altitude. We actually stall pretty quick on this one. And here's the stall. So full throttle. You notice the nose dips itself. Again, we lose lift, so the nose dips and we're recovered. So that was actually a better power off stall right there. Bring my flaps up a little bit here, right there. We're over 100, we can bring them all the way up. So I'll do one more, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go in for a landing. So this is actually pretty realistic in game. I know people dog on Storm Arcs for not realistic aerodynamics. You know, this is what my degree's in, and it seems pretty realistic to me. Thousands of flight hours. You know, of course, it's not 100% perfect, but you know, we shouldn't expect to be 100% perfect either. So let's go ahead and put our flaps back down, and we'll do one more power off stall. So we're going to pitch, make sure we don't get a balloon. That's a balloon when you add in the flaps there. It's and you think we're rising like a balloon, we're rising straight up. All right, so let's start to bring some power off here. I'm going to maintain, we'll maintain 2,100. I don't even need to bring all my power off. I just brought a little bit off. And here we're getting ready for a stall. Watch the nose dip. See the nose dip itself? I didn't do that. That's a very natural stall behavior. So I think a lot of people who, you know, are overestimating the glide distance of real aircraft. Of course, it could be better, but it's not, you know, it's not bad by any stretch of imagination. And the aircraft actually stall pretty realistically in game. So let's go ahead and we'll leave our flaps down because we're going to come in for a landing. So we're right abeam the airport there. So I kind of planned this to hopefully be close to the airport. Now we'll come in for a landing. So we still have all our lights on. Often when you're doing your maneuvers, you keep your lights on so that, again, for collision avoidance, so people can see it. All right, we'll turn our base leg here. So again, this would be the area of the flight regime where you would have to worry about a power off stall. Again, simulates landing. Flaps are in. You're at a low power setting. You've reduced your throttle to come into land. So I'm kind of looking at a 45 here. I wish we had some head tracking, but we don't. So I'm going to start turning here, so I have to keep moving my view. I'm going to watch my speed. I don't want to get slower than about 80 in this aircraft. Doing those stall procedures, that's the first time I've done them in this aircraft. So, you know, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about the behavior of my own aircraft on this. So, actually performs pretty well below 80. Definitely don't want to get below 60. 60 was when it really stalled. We're coming in fast. We're coming in high. So I'm going to start dropping my nose. Aiming at my big square aiming bars. I'm starting to add power, and I know I have to pitch my nose up. So I have to add the power before I pitch my nose up, or else I'm going to get too slow. Looking good, looking good. All right, up, something's on the runway. Go around, full throttle. We're going to gently pitch our nose up. All right, and that's how we do it in as a flight instructor. You'd announce something's on the runway, or you just tell the student to go around. And so go-arounds are incredibly important. So we're going to go flaps to, we'll go up flaps one notch till we get over 100, and then we'll go all the way up. So go-arounds are very important. You don't want to overcommit. There's this thing in aviation called "get there-itis." It's kind of a goofy term, but it's you know, you care more about getting there than you do. You know, you're so preoccupied with getting where you're supposed to be going that you get yourself in a dangerous situation. So, for example, we're trying to land here. That's our mission. That's our goal, to land, and we think we have to land. And so we get, you know, say we're approaching or something goes on the runway, and we try to stick the landing when we should go around. And so a lot of people who crash in game, who, you know, are struggling with landing, practicing a go-around is good maneuver. Do the go-around, come back around, and when you're better set up, when you have a better approach, for example, if you cut in too tight and you didn't have enough time to get your speed. Let's say you're coming in too fast, you're coming in too slow, you're coming in too high or too low. Any of these situations is good for a go around. So we're coming up beam the numbers. We're going to go flaps in. I'm going to start pitching my nose down, knowing the flap's going to give me a bunch of extra lift. All right, so that was our first go around. Go around is important to do when you're not when the picture doesn't look right. You know, even if you get a bad feel and things don't look right, that's a good time to go around. You know, you want to be confident that you're going to be able to land safely. And so, you know, unfortunately, we've had some people in real life, you know, back when I was a flight instructor, trying to stick landings and they damage the aircraft or they get hurt. And what they should have done is go around. And so we drill into people's heads, go around. If you're in doubt, go around. Go around, go around. And so all you do is go full power, gently pitch up to climb, and then you do your normal climb out procedure. You know, raise our flaps a little bit just to get over 100 knots, and then once we're over 100 knots, we can raise the rest. You know, the reason we do it over 100 knots is that gives us enough airflow over the wings that when we lose the flaps, that we have enough lift to counteract that loss of lift from the flaps. So there's a nice final. Again, we're aiming at looking at the aiming bars, coming in on speed. There we go. Add a little bit of power. So 80 knots isn't terrible approach speed. I think the Piper Arrow was something in that neighborhood. I can't remember. It's been so many years since I've flown an Arrow. Try not to get slow. I'm a little slow here. I'm adding some power. I can feel it, like, you know, the aircraft gets a little what I call wallowy. And I'm going to pitch up. And a little bit flat of a landing. And I still have some power in. So those are power on and off stalls. Those simulate, again, power on stall simulating takeoff, power off stall simulating a stall on landing. And one of the most important things you can learn about aviation is the go around. You know, we used to have to do go arounds in the airlines if we weren't stabilized. If you're coming in too fast, you're coming in too low, too high, any situation that is not ideal, it's better to go around, come back in, set up better, than to try to stick the landing. That's when you'll get hurt, or in game you'll destroy your aircraft. Is when you're trying to stick a landing. You don't want to stick it. You want to go around and come back and try again. You see, it didn't take us long. It wasn't a big deal. Came right back around and did it. So, you know, sometimes we get animals on the runway. You know, a deer running across the runway. You want to go around. You see some sort of one of the ground service vehicles accidentally cross the runway while you were trying to land, go around. You know, so those are some of the most important things to learn. So that would be kind of a day 2 of what I would take students out on. You know, it could be in day 1 depending on what we're doing, but you know, go up, practice some stalls. Again, you really want to drill into people's head how to recover an aircraft if you stall, and you really want to drill into people's head that if you're not happy with your approach, go around. It's better to go around, come back around, and try again than to stick the landing and have an accident. So I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I will see you in the next one.